from the same place as trap music. This that first react music. They can't hold me back. I'm feeling good cause I'm black music. Can't nobody touch this. My flow, I can't rush this. Put them on silence when I'm talking. You should hush, bitch. I am from the heavy base. My bro called a heavy case. Got a couple.
Good evening and welcome back to another episode of Cigar Sundays Live. Tonight, we will be smoking on the word freedom. In American culture, the word freedom has been at the center of many political, economic, cultural, and social issues. But tonight, we simply want to find out if the word freedom is bad, good, or misunderstood. And before we do that, make sure to like and share the video. Also subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so when we go live, you never miss an episode of Cigar Sundays Live. I am Chef Earl Pearl at DBCHEFTV, always with the God, Ali Dawood L at BK Soul Farm. And we are the Cigarden Panel. Peace, God.
Peace, God. What you dealing with?
Another beautiful Sunday.
Another beautiful Sunday,
Another
man.
beautiful Sunday, God. We talking about freedom.
Freedom. Okay, that's a heavy one. That might be one of the most heaviest ones that we've talked about so far.
Definitely.
Freedom. Yeah, I'm interested in seeing these questions. Freedom.
Definitely. Now you're gonna be surprised. We kept it real simple for this evening show. Because we understand the implications of the word freedom. You know, like we said in the intro, that, you know, this freedom has been at the center of political, economic, cultural, and social issues. So it's like, it's almost a trigger word in certain cultures, in certain communities.
Facts. I'm a little triggered.
You know, so we really want to try to get a clear understanding if we can. Some, you know, because I know I have meanings associated with freedom, but do I have a true understanding of the definition of what it was supposed to be taught as and how it was supposed to be applied? I don't know. You know, I don't know if my version of that actually identifies with that or correlates with that or is equal to that in any way. So we got 3 questions that we always shape our conversation around when we breaking these words down. And we're going to go ahead and get into our questions for this evening. Tonight, we are smoking on the word freedom. And our first question is, what do you think of when you hear the word freedom? Now, that's just not for me and the guy, Ali Dawood L, at BK Soul Farm. For anybody out there watching, what do you think of when you hear the word freedom? What does it mean to you? What do you think is defined as? How does it make you feel? Share all that in the comments. Please share it in the chat. We'd like to know. Our second question. Does freedom affect a person's ability to make a choice? Does freedom affect a person's ability to make a choice? Does freedom even have an effect on a person's ability to make a choice? Do choices and freedom even go in the same conversation? We're going to get to that one. And last but never least, our third question this evening will be, is freedom free?
Ah, damn.
So, of course, we are going to break it down, analyze, chastise it,
Golly.
ostracize it, criminalize it, glorify, you know, do everything the freedom we can this evening. Freedom is not safe. We smoking the whole pack. All right. The whole God's getting burnt down with freedom. And we're going to go to our first question before we get into the definition, y'all. Of what do you think of when you hear the word freedom? What do you think of when you hear the word freedom?
That's peace, God. Yo, freedom.
Please, God.
Like I said, it's gonna be an interesting conversation. Firstly, for me, uh, immediately when I hear freedom, I word associate to freedom, like free the dome. I associate freedom with free thinking, having the ability to critically think, having the ability to make a choice, having the ability to discern and a desire to be accountable and responsible for one's actions and decisions. And what was that word we talked about the other day? Uh, that's not always bad.
Consequence.
Consequence. You know what I'm saying? Consequences.
That's right.
Um, but that's me playing. I think playing with the word free. You know, freedom, being free, the dome. Um, and that's honestly what I've been using for quite a long time as my real modus operandi on how I move, right? Um, and what I think about freedom in itself, the first thing I think about is doing what I want, right? And the things that I want for me personally are the things that I need to do. Like I want to be able to do all the things that I need to be able to do. Like the things that I need to do, I want the ability to be able to do those things and I want to be able to do them well. So a lot of my wants are my needs. So and as long as, you know, we looking and breathing, I got food, clothing, shelter, protection of that. Ain't nobody trying to take nothing from me. Ain't nobody trying to interfere with me. Ain't nobody trying to look over my fence and give me an opinion about something that I'm doing. You know, not an opinion, unsolicited.
Unsolicited chastisement.
A chastising, a judgmental outburst that they want me to respond to, like they actually want a conversation. Like, it's one thing, you know, freedom of speech for me works like this. Like, you can say what you want to say, but that don't mean that I have to respond, right? Like, say it. And, but most times people don't just want to say things, they want to uh, put a battery in your back so that they can be quote unquote defending themselves now. Because because all they did was say something to you and they got you emotional and now your emotions got you in their face and now that's why they had to defend themselves. I don't like coward shit like that,
Ain't that
right?
some cowards? That is some coward shit.
which is why I say which is why I say I don't want no smoke. We gonna all be scared together, right? Like I rather walk away and go home peacefully, you know what I'm saying? But if I have to be scared and fear for my life, then so be it. Um, so that's what I think about freedom, right? I think about doing whatever I want to do. It, I, but I'm a responsible, I think, and an accountable person, I think, and a reasonable person, I think, and a sensible person, I think. Um, good judgment, I think. So, so yeah, that's how I look at it, God. Um, I'm curious about this definition now because I don't think I gave a definition at all.
We ain't get to it yet. But hey, God, I want to ask you something though, because you said you was a lot of things. I think you was a player too, but I ain't even know nothing about that though, because he said the modus operandi. Can you break that down for us people who don't know what that? What
I
is?
think I heard that shit on TV before. That's one of them
Yeah, on
cop shows.
TV. You don't even know. It sounds so silky though when you throw it in there. Though I said, yeah, I want to have me one of them too.
But nah, it's like it's in reference to your movement though, like and how you gonna operate. It's like your motto, like your mantra, like it's like like ritualistic movements, like the way you move. Like that's a signature. It's almost like I remember back in the day, I used to be able to tell my dad by the way he walked, like from down the block. Like, ah, yeah, that's my dad coming. Or somebody in my family, right? Or somebody that I know well, right? Like you just tell. But with modus operandi, that's different though. That's like a whole like a whole thought process, intentional. I'm doing this for a purpose, for a reason. I have a whole goal in mind, right? You have a at least that's what I think it means. That's how I've been applying that as well.
Okay. Okay. Trust me, I'm asking. I'm all the way green. I don't know. I gotta go check it out. I gotta go do some research. You know, I just like how you put it in the sentence, and then I believed. Believe. You know, I was feeling the freedom from it. Like, yes.
Free flow, right?
Yeah, I need to, you know, I need to add some modem apparamidinizing in my daily, you know, definitely, God. But going back to our first question, y'all, what do you think of when you hear the word freedom? Like freedom was real, like being introduced to freedom early, you know, in the school system and things like that. It always had and like just through family history and things and stories, it always had like an emotional attachment to it for me for a long time. You know, where it was just like the political things like that we talked about, the social things. But then I came into a different understanding or some more knowledge in how to actually look at it. And it was just a perspective. It doesn't mean it's the right one. It's just the most arduous, correct, it's incorrect. But it does have some substance. So it allowed me to change my perspective on and my view on freedom based on how it had previously affected me, where it was through, you know, civil rights and all of the movements and you know, things related to the struggle, the American history, and all of the things that have happened, conflicts, and you know, I mean, we can go down the list. That things that I'm supposed to identify with, and they automatically supposed to mean like that when the word freedom comes about in relation to them things, I'm supposed to have an opinion, a response. I'm supposed to have something, like I'm obligated to it.
You know how you're supposed to feel.
Right. So when I got introduced to the perspective of life and death, like, and didn't fear death, like came to understand why I didn't fear death anymore, like why I wasn't scared of anything, because I had to look at choices that I made in my life too that showed like you wasn't scared of dying, or you wouldn't have did that. So we know the things that we don't have control over. Like if you leave your house, something having, you know, universal law. But it was like, okay, who's free from being born and starting death as soon as they born?
Nobody.
Nobody's free from that.
Nothing.
You know. So when I looked at it from that perspective of freedom, like it's like that is an illusion. That's not even a real thing. It's more so the things that you were saying like earlier, that like those are the only things that really determine that, because the common denominator is the one thing that like, who can explain that? Can nobody explain the reason of why, of what, who made that happen? Who you can't reverse it. You could change, you can get some makeup and shit on, you can get plastic surgery, but your ass still gonna get old and die.
Yo, everybody getting new teeth these days. Notice that?
You can get all that shit.
Like,
You know what I'm saying? So you can replace some shit, but your expiration bucket date still ain't gonna change.
correct. And you don't know what that is.
You know? So it's like, so when I say like, okay, and you know, some people could be like, well, that's extreme. You don't gotta apply all your freedoms to that one freedom, but why the fuck not? Like that's one that I can't solve. Some of these other freedom things I can solve. Some of these other man-made things, I can solve some of this shit.
See, so that's interesting that somebody would say that, God, why you gotta go so far to apply everything to death? Because I'm saying, give me freedom or give me death. I don't want nobody to take my freedom away from me. Like
You know what I'm saying?
I don't want to live like that.
So I'm just like, eventually your freedom is going to give you death anyway.
Yeah, what are you talking about?
You know, like,
Like everybody got to die.
so you know, so it's just like, what am I
Scary
really?
ass.
You know what I'm saying? Like, what is the purpose? So you know, so like, what is the purpose for me to get caught up emotionally? And then when we was talking about, like in the past, when we talk about having protests and boycotts and things like that, and it doesn't, and in real time, for those things to be effective, you need legislation to follow behind them things that then gets voted in and approved. So like, if that's not going to be the process, then, you know, a lot of that is wasting time trying to do some other things. You know, I saw it's a lot of crypto stuff happening right now. It's a lot of legislation and stuff being passed, and they talking about a strategic reserve. And then you got so many different things. They talking about selling some of the treasuries and certificates, gold certificates, and buying crypto and doing all these different things they talking about doing, right? Okay, then you got 60 Minutes running something talking about all the scams and everything and all the fucked up shit, right? So it's a play. Like you can see it, like it's a play, right? Now, if you follow it, depending on what you follow, some people follow numbers. I follow policy, you know, because the people making the policies and you know, they the ones, the governments who is controlling the narrative. Like either if they don't want you to do it, they're gonna shut the shit down. We seen what happened with Swift with the system of Russia, like they just took their money, right? So I look at it like, if you get locked up, you doing some cruddy shit, they just take your money too, don't they? Take your assets, all that type of shit. So people, I don't know what the fuck everybody else watching.
It's almost like people don't. I don't know what they're watching either.
But you know, so criminality should not be at the forefront of one's agenda. Meaning, don't do crime, stupid. You know what I'm saying? So, but they have all these things going on now, and we have the freedom to be able to pay attention to this particular thing or that particular thing. Where's our interest lie? And I ain't even gonna say where our interest lied. I'm gonna say, where is your interest? You know, is it to see the gain on it? Is it to understand what's going on? And even if you're trying to understand what's going on, then you should be trying to gain from it. Because I never learned anything that wasn't valuable, even in a negative place. Even even if it just decided whether it was just a matter of whether I chose to apply it or not.
That's true.
So learning is always going, and we had the freedom to do that. So I've always looked at freedom in correlation to the things that you were saying, God, because I'm like, freedom is more of an idea than a real thing. That's what when I got that knowledge to be like, okay, you know what? Nobody's exempt from, like, once you're born, you start that process. So like, am I a slave to that? You know, that if I'm a slave to that, then everybody is slave to that. You ain't free from that. Ain't no reversing that process. So
No matter how many heart transplants you get.
you know what I'm saying? So it's just like, so is this freedom thing more of a concept, you know? Or and I know it is the idea because of stories from American history, you know. And that's where the origin of it mostly connects with people, especially Black people in America. It mainly connects with them on that emotional, through that emotional attachment first, you know, because so many people just live and they just be living, they don't be paying attention, and they just get old, they don't even be knowing. They just wake up one day like, oh shit, I'm fucking 65 years old. What the fuck I done did?
Got old. That's what they did. They got old.
You know. So I'm like, you know, we got our body, right? And we got the freedom to do the things to our body that we want to do to our body. Some things have been limited, you know, with
I'm about to say, yeah,
the
some things you can't.
some things you can't do, you know, some things they've deemed socially unacceptable, you know, that we don't have enough good judgment to not do these things. So the laws had to be in place because it's like some of y'all stupid as shit and y'all just gonna do the dumb shit. So
So you say some of y'all stupid as shit, right? Consider this: those people that do those things that are considered stupid as shit are the people that want to be by themselves. Like they want to be ostracized. Like they don't want to be like everybody else, right? So it's like everybody else saying stupid as shit, but for them, like they winning every day because they.
that's not the stupidest shit, people. That's not the no, I'm not talking about somebody calling me stupid as shit. You know
No,
what I'm saying? Or you
I'm just
stupid as
I'm
shit.
just
No.
imagining like somebody with like a bunch of like piercings on their face or something like that, or I don't
Oh, you
know.
know, see, I wasn't
I didn't know what you was thinking. I didn't know what you was thinking about. So I
no, I
was
wasn't gonna give them a identity. You know what I'm saying? Because stupid as shit comes in all complexions,
yeah,
languages, shapes, sizes,
yeah.
piercings, tattoos, you know, all that shit. Like, you know, it's activity, it's action, you know, it's the actions of the person that I'm deeming stupid as shit
I see that. Yeah,
because it may seem beneficial in the moment, you know, but when you examining it, it's not beneficial, you know, it's not a wise choice. They don't end up saying, oh, this was one of the best choices I made in my life. Or even feeling good about it at the end. It's like, damn, why even do that? Why even approach? It's a learning lesson. Like, you know, some learning lessons you feel different. Some you feel good about, especially the ones that we get success. And then the other learning lessons, you know, sometimes you take them a little different. So, you know, it's different if I put $5 in the machine and lose it than if I'm on the crap table and lose, you know, $5,000. Yeah, I'm gonna feel a little different about it. You know. You know, so I mean, but if I hit on 5 and if I hit on 5,000, like I'm gonna feel happy, right? About both wins,
About both wins. Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. Nah.
So
Yeah.
it's
Now,
different.
what you were saying earlier about all that the civil rights stuff and freedom, like, and that's why I was saying, like, that's why none of that stuff was in my thought process, because I learned the same things in school, and when they talk about freedom in reference to our people, I don't like the conversation, right? Like, cause they say it in the manner in which they owe us reparations, and they trying to make us prove why. And I'm saying, based on your own language, you old motherfucker, right?
Right.
But whatever. You know what I'm saying?
American history class, which one? Like which
You
one?
know what I'm saying? Like, just, but I just don't like the narrative, and when you think about this country and the way it was established, especially when you consider it was established by way of warfare, right? So it was established violently. We're not talking about the 13 colonies. We ain't talking about the Nina Pinta, Santa Maria, and all those people. We talking about the United States of America. We talking about 1776 getting the independence from Britain and all that stuff. Like, we talking about this country is what we talking about, right? That's different. Like, that's like those people. If they gave you freedom in their minds, they can take it away too. So to hold on to the idea of, I mean, look at everybody scared of the whole Project 2025 and losing civil rights right now. You got all these narratives going around back and forth about all this DEI stuff and the rolling back segregation and
They're gonna roll back segregation. We
and,
gotta go back to the back of the bus.
you know what I'm
No,
saying?
I
And
don't even use public transportation.
you know what I'm saying?
We gotta go
Like,
back to the back of the bus. No, come on.
and
Do you think that shit? You see how far fetched that's with these youngins, with these jits? How you think they gonna sit? You think they going for that? Do you
no, that
even think they going for that type
I,
of shit? They
it's just
not even
it's,
going for
it's
that type
it's
of
just the narrative that I don't like, though. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just the narrative that's being pushed.
I know, and it's sad. It is sad, God.
Because I don't see myself being put back on a plantation or being put on a plantation. I don't see.
What?
I don't.
I'm
I
on
don't
the
see.
plantation. We on
Yeah,
the plantation now of
besides,
Slave Landia.
you know what I'm saying? Like,
You know what I'm saying? Shout out my man
like,
Gerald Salente. That's his shit. Slave, you know,
but
we in Slave Land.
besides what I do for going to work, but besides that, like, I couldn't say, like, getting whipped and stuff, and
It's
all
not.
that stuff they showed us on the TV, like in the movies. It's like, what are you talking about? Like,
Ain't nobody getting Toby. Ain't
ain't
nobody
nobody getting
getting
Toby,
Toby.
son. Like, come on, son.
Ain't
Like,
nobody.
nah, like, and everybody that's scared of that, I'm saying, stay away from me, right? Like, 'cause that's,
People thinking they'll go back. It'll go back to that.
yo, man, like,
How?
yo,
How?
man, like, that was the
How?
overwhelming fear conversation that people was having with me before Trump got into office was
That Trump was gonna reinstate slavery. I couldn't even if somebody looked at me and said that shit, I could not help but laugh in their face. I couldn't.
God, like it, like,
I was I
and I'm
couldn't.
like, and I'm like, how though, like I'm saying, and my retort is always the same thing, like, so somebody can just come and say, yo, you come over and do this, and that's gonna be done, like is that easy? Like, is that,
That'll be a good stand up for one of these comedy joints, man. One of them comedians or something, man. Because Trump gonna reinstate slavery. That's some wild shit. That's a horrible conversation to have. I wouldn't even want. I'd be like, man, I don't even want you around me. You worried about Trump reinstating slavery? That mean you gonna go?
I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Like that's what I'm saying. That's what
You reporting for duty?
who's showing up? Like who's showing up? Like
Are you reporting? You
that's what
reporting for Muslim? You going to go sign up? They ain't gonna have to draft you, huh?
like I don't get it, right?
Crazy.
Like unless all of America is gonna be like slavery, just gonna be our new employment, you know.
Come on, man.
Well,
The Proud Boys logo got shout out to uh shout out to the brothers and sisters that own the Proud Boys trademark logo and everything. Be-
what?
because because when you talk about okay,
Yo,
we don't have to hit you with bullets. We
we
don't have to fight you with sticks and stones either.
we own Proud Boys.
We don't have to do none of that. Y'all want to be out here, y'all. Let's see if you own your shit. Let's see, do you own your shit?
That's funny.
Do you own your shit? Cause you out
That's
here just,
funny.
you know what? We don't gotta fight. We can go and just own your shit. And then that's corporate takeover, right? We
Oh,
just go own the shit. And then now what? Now you can't do I dare you go use our shit and say something bad. It's
yeah,
gonna cost you
it's gonna cost you.
big.
It's gonna cost you. You gotta rename yourself.
So now reinvent yourself again.
Reinvent yourself.
And be sharper next time on your game. So I mean,
That's funny.
like I like that. That's a different type of warfare. That's a different type of counter intelligence.
That that actually
you know,
is warfare, right? And not just war.
yeah, it's not just trying to like we gonna fight or somebody gonna punch somebody or beat somebody up. Nah, like we don't gotta do all that, man. It's when you in the right with the law, and then when you don't know things, and then you out here being moving, man. Guess what?
You
We
know
don't go
what?
to jail. We what I'm saying? We pay taxes. So we're gonna
Fact,
use the resources.
facts.
We hear, well, Trump don't pay taxes, and this person don't pay taxes, and this person don't pay tax. Guess what? We don't want to not pay taxes. We want to learn what they're doing and how they manage their personal wealth, their private wealth, or whatever it be. You know what I'm saying? So that's what you do. You got the freedom to do that shit. To learn the IRS code, tax strategies. You can do that or not. You don't have to. You can pay somebody to do it. Some very sharp people out here too.
Hmm.
But it's just like, come on, family. We're in this. We're in it. So it's certain places that you're gonna either have to be functioning or you just not in that. You just not on that. You know what I'm talking about, God.
How conscious do you have to be to recognize that? Because that is a warfare strategy, right? And I feel that protesting is also a warfare tactic, right? However, somehow I feel like that we got tricked into thinking that into that's how we actually fight the war. We're gonna win the war by way of protest, right? And not use protest to actually get legislation changed or to actually, stimulate the people to boycott or to actually do something for a reason. We got stuck at the protest itself is the action, and we're gonna just keep doing this action as if it's the equivalent to punching somebody in the face over and over and over again until they get punch drunk.
That is what we've seen in repeated history
Oh,
in American culture throughout the African American communities
it's
attempt to
terrible.
respond to any type of
It is terrible.
freedom related issues, from social to economic to cultural. And I mean, yeah, God, and that's why I'm just saying, like, shout out to those who did, because they showing that it's other ways to approach the situation. Like it don't have to be burning down communities, shooting up each other and shit like that. I'm like, if they took that and did that, like, then why won't we talk about, seeing how other communities are just like, um I've heard this said, because I don't have children, but I heard this say, like, you can't push your kids in which direction to do something, or you can't be too hard on them trying to force them to be something that they not, or blah blah blah. I'm like, how are all these Indian families children becoming doctors then? They not all just born in the
God,
womb as doctors.
God, we did the show on culture, and what we fail to realize every single time is that statement that you just said just now about um is the culture, the anti doing stuff
The
is the
anti is the culture. Gotcha.
right. That's plantation thinking, right? That is strictly from the plantation that carried on and carried over, and we refuse to let that go because we don't think that it is. Like, we actually think that we overcame already, and we have shooken off all of the things that came from getting kidnapped and stripped of a thorough knowledge of self, right? And we don't realize that our culture became anti doing stuff, whereas everybody else is about doing stuff, right? But because they didn't have plantation back,
History.
they
History.
didn't have that, right?
Right.
They may have had slavery because I already know how the dummies think, and every human civilization on the planet has been enslaved in some form, shape, or fashion. I ain't talking about them up. I ain't talking about nobody else around the world. I'm talking about us over here in America because that's where we at. And all my people, right? We didn't migrate over here. We didn't come over here. Like, not all of us. The way the story go, because I like to go by, if the story changed tomorrow, I will go with that new story, right? But as the story go, right, we got kidnapped, stripped of a thorough knowledge of self, had about 400 years of abuse-free labor, and then set free and said, "All right, go do your thing now.
Bootstrap time.
Bootstrap time. Show me what you got." And according to their history, we showed our ass, right? Like, we produce productive town after productive town after productive town. We invent things over and over and over and over again. We contribute to the establishment and the building of this country, uh in that short time of bootstrap time.
In just that short time.
In just that short time, right? So I don't know, guy. Like, I don't like the way that our school books and everything talk about. That's why I like the way we think about freedom, because it takes away the fear of somebody else coming in and taking away our accomplishments, right? It holds us accountable to our failures and our successes, right? Peace, God.
Peace. See his way.
Right? Like, and that's what it's supposed to do, but everybody else is scared, right? Like, they scared to succeed. They scared that somebody gonna come and burn it down, somebody gonna come and flood it out, somebody gonna come and take it. And I'm saying, like, let them come, right? Like, again, like, you don't know your checkout date, your checkout time, like, you don't know your death hour. Like, the only thing that you do know is that you are going to die. So you might as well rock out with your cock out, right? Like, Yeah, they,
that could be taken. That could be misinterpreted now. That could be,
pause, right?
you
Like,
know. What the guy Ali Dawood El was saying is make productive use of your time.
make productive use of your time, right? Like, do it, like, get busy, right? And don't be scared to do stuff, right? Like, don't, like, everybody wanna act brave to do the foolishness, right? To do the most ratchetest thing possible. Yo, God, I heard like this whole HIV prep thing now, man. Like, I'm so thankful and glad that I'm married off the market, and I have matured into the type of man that I am, because like these streets is crazy. Like like
Crazy out here.
like they got the freedom now to just abandon sensibility. They got the freedom to abandon all logic and restraint and self-control, and we just gonna all just promote reckless sexual activity, right? So people out, you got celebrities, influencers out here promoting HIV prep because everybody having sex with the same people. So protect yourself.
Protect yourself. They better. They better protect themselves. At least somebody promoting that they fucking protect themselves, man. Shit. You
I'm
know?
like, man, I'm it's like, to me, I'm like, man, all those people are a bunch of useless eaters, man. Like protect yourself, like do better, make better choices, right?
Man,
Like
yes. Yes, do make better choices. That is
make, make better choices. Like let that be the thing that you do, right? Like instead of, oh, I can't trust my partner, so man, get a new one. Be by yourself too
do something different.
long.
Do something different.
Hell
Improve
yeah.
your situation for real, God. But definitely, we've been answering question 1 this evening, y'all. If you just pulling up, we've been talking about the word freedom. We are smoking on the word freedom tonight. And we just got finished going through breaking down what we think of when we hear the word freedom, and moving right along, y'all. Before we get into our second question, we're going to go ahead and get into the definition of freedom so we can have a better understanding of this word. Make sure to like and share the video, y'all, if you're watching out there, and subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so when we go live, you never miss an episode of Cigar Sundays Live. We are looking at the word freedom, and we're going to go ahead and get into the definition. Freedom. 1, the quality or state of being free. The quality or state of being free. And then we go such as A, the absence of necessity, coercion, or constraint in a choice or action. The absence of necessity, coercion, or constraint in a choice or action. So it ain't absolutely necessary. I'm not getting coerced into doing it.
Nope.
Doesn't feel like,
But
there's any constraints, anything holding me back from participating in it,
it's not
in a
life or
choice
death.
or action.
Yeah.
Then we go into AB. Then we go into B, 1B, liberation from slavery or restraint or from the power of another, independence. Liberation from slavery or restraint or from the power of another, independence. And this is the form of slavery that is taught the most. A is often overlooked and not even communicated
That's what I was talking about.
in relation to freedom. But B
Is the only thing
is
people.
is pushed down the throats of
Yeah.
everybody in American culture.
Yeah.
Okay. But if we go with the start, the absence of necessity, coercion, or constraint in a choice or action, this is those things that the God Ali Dawu El at BK Soul Farm was talking about in the beginning when we were answering our first question. When he was talking about the things that he does, his actions, his daily actions, applied from a thought process. This is what I was talking about when I'm like, okay, well, the absence of necessity. Well, if you're born and you gotta die, then obviously the necessity don't even matter. Like it's going to fucking happen. You know what I'm saying? So like, it ain't really no coercion. You know what I'm saying?
You got no say so, no feel so. You can
You
feel how
know,
you want to feel about it,
and what's the constraint? I mean, you can do some things and choices or actions throughout your life to speed the process up, you know,
but not really.
but
Like,
maybe not, because some people,
because your day is your day and time is your day and time, right? You
yeah,
don't know
some
if you
people have
speed it up.
horrible diets and live to be 100, and some people,
Yeah, right.
you know, like this shit crazy. So that seems like there's a real absence of even of necessity, you know, a real absence of constraint. So that's where looking at how I applied it, that's where I would think that that's where that is at. And I had no knowledge of these keywords: necessity, coercion, and constraint in the choice of action. You know, I just looked at it in my feeble concept of like I'm just really not in control of it. So, you know, there's an absence of anything for me to be, you know, like
Like there's nobody to talk to.
yeah, like, you know, like you could pray about it, but like I would guarantee you, God ain't saying shit back to you
That's what I'm saying, right?
about
Like,
it. You know,
there's no application you can fill in and verify and check on the status,
you
like to
know,
see where it's at. Like there's nothing, bro. Like
like you
it
might be like in your spiritual place and be like, God told me, gave me a whisper and said, you don't worry about this shit, just keep on living. You know, like, all right, cool. I'll tell myself the same thing. I can drink that Kool-Aid, you know. Real shit. You know, who am I to tell you what type of experience you had with your God? You know what I'm saying? Like I ain't we ain't on that either. I'm just talking about dealing with these words, you know, and you know, the reality of certain things that we are not free from, but we hold so much value and freedom. Um, and I get that B, this definition, liberation from slavery and restraint from the power of another, independence. You know, when we talk about being held captive from the power of another, you know, that means that you had no say so in anything. That person had whatever that restraint was, you know, or whatever that power was, like you had nothing to do. You know, like you couldn't, everything you got was given, was told, instructed. You know, that shit don't even sound like independence.
sounds horrible.
You know, cause I would say that, you know, I got a lot of good lessons from my family, like before leaving and going to go join the military and going out into the world. You know, I got some good shit, some bad shit, like everybody get, right? But some of those things that a lot of the things that I had then, I've learned to add things to it. I've learned to improve and build upon it. And then I also learned other new things. So that's where that part of independence comes in, because it's like, you know, you kind of liberated from the restraint that you had. It wasn't a slavery, that's your family. But you had power, your family still had somebody else was responsible for making your decisions for you in certain capacities, certain responsibilities you didn't have for yourself. So now you got those responsibilities. Now I'm managing these different things, you know, and I'm responsible for them. So there's a level of independence that come with that. Um, but it's definitely not To me, like, yeah, that translates into a freedom. But moving right along, y'all. The C, the quality of state of being exempt or released, usually from something onerous. What's that? How do you say that?
Yeah, I would have said the same thing. Onerous,
Gotta look that word up right there.
freedom from care.
I gotta look that word up. I don't know what the definition of this word is right here, or even if I'm pronouncing it correctly. Unrestricted use, freedom, unrestricted use, unrestricted use. I got the freedom. That's what I be talking about. You got the freedom to make these choices. Unrestricted use, and your choices is yours. Ease, faculty, the quality of being frank, open, or outspoken. The quality of being frank, open, or outspoken. Is that like he talked too much?
Or no, more so he speak his mind.
We speak his mind.
Or don't have a filter, so it's maybe.
Maybe don't have a filter. Being frank. It's not what you say, but it's how you say it.
I think frank and outspoken is what you say. I don't think they care how they say it. I think it's just coming out.
Mm. Maybe we need to look up outspoken and actually do a show on outspoken because their example is answered with freedom.
And to me, that sounds like he ain't give a fuck it's almost like somebody quitting. Imagine somebody that win the lotto and then quit their job. You know what I'm saying? It's like I imagine they quit their job, like super super kind of crazy. I don't know.
Might be like if you don't cut, like, oh, it could be like the doctor telling you, like, the doctor, like, look, if you don't stop doing that, you're gonna die.
Or because the doctors don't talk to you gently at all. Yeah, I think that bedside manner stuff is all TV. Cause every doctor I talked to was always straight up and down. It was never no sugarcoating. It was never no easy way to have this conversation with their ass. It was like, so what you gonna do? You doing this or not?
I mean, I demand that though. I require that, you know. So
Yeah,
I think it's the person,
yeah.
because I think some people would be like, look, let me tell me, because so I can go in there and word it right, where you might tell somebody, some people be full of drama and shit. It'll make it worse on them, they
My
don't.
leg is falling off.
Like the doctor just told them that they need some rest and some shit like that, and then somebody told them, like,
I got 3 days left.
yeah, so I know sometimes you gotta know who you doing that with. Like, I think for us, because we people who are concerned with our health and really pay attention to it, like the health wealth is concept, like we live in it. It's not a concept, it's not a hashtag and shit, because without your health you can't, forget about freedom.
You forget about life. You will be dead. You will be dead.
It's just that simple. All right, so
Right.
continue with the definitions, y'all. All right, we have G, improper familiarity. H, boldness of conception or execution. Boldness of conception or execution. I like that, boldness of conception or execution. I thought about it from the conception of it, and I executed, and I ain't had no doubts about it the whole time I was doing it and everything.
When I see that, I think about I take away conception. I think boldness of execution. I think about a performer, like a real big superstar that's hit the stage and just take over the damn. the whole arena and stuff like that. I think that's what I think about when I see that.
I don't know. You know what I think about God? I think about last show. My brother said, "I don't know. I'm not a scientist," and I wanted to say, "You're a damn lie if you ain't a scientist. Don't you farm?
True.
Don't you got a lot going on? I ain't. You know what I'm saying? You got bees going up. Come on, family. You got. Come on, family. Vegetation. Stop it.
Now that's definitely a boldness of conception. I ain't gonna
Okay.
lie. I ain't
And
gonna lie.
execution. You ain't eating.
I'm definitely eating.
Okay. So
Correction. We are definitely eating.
you feel me? So yeah, and you're a scientist, by the way. Scientist.
Appreciate the word.
Dr. L. Okay. So real talk though, family, like those things are boldness of conception and execution though. So I think that's like the concept when we talk about conception. I don't know if it's the conception of the thought or I'm looking at how they using it, boldness of the conception or execution. So I'm thinking it would have to be thought to action,
Mm,
and I'm thinking that the boldness is just having the confidence to just be
definitely.
be willing to fail.
Definitely. I agree with that totally.
It's just to say, you know what, I'm gonna find out what it do. That plain enough and simple. I'm gonna find out what this shit do. How
Right
does
now.
it work? How do I need to work it? What's my and then you have your own, even your own concepts come from the execution of it, because now you have strategies and
You gotta
tact.
tweak it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
that's
know.
true.
So moving right along, y'all, we go to two and we got a political right. Freedom is a political right. A political right. Now,
Hmm.
see,
Is
this
that the
is
same as B?
a political right. Well, B says liberation from slavery or restraint or from the power of another, independence. But then right here it says a political right. So
Hmm.
this is where I'm talking about it's a trick bag. This is why I just want to go with 1A and just and let the council rule. We don't want no freedom no more. You know what I'm saying? Like we going for something else. Not like that. Not in relation to A or 1B. Okay. Like just be like, no, this is too many games, playing too many tricks.
A political
Could
right.
right. But then it's a release from slavery, it's a detachment from slavery. So is this what it was assigned after slavery? So it became a political right after slavery was abolished.
Oh, I wonder because they made it in the Constitution that criminals become slaves. Because wasn't that added? Like wasn't that like the 14th or 15th one of those?
I can't
That's
speak on that.
that's
I
I
can't
don't know. I'm just trying to make it make sense because I see technology going on in my face, right? And I'm just trying to keep it uh on up and up. 'Cause-
Yeah, I don't see. Well, not about the part of saying. I don't know, God, for sure if the what the Constitution states about once you are convicted of a felony, at what level do you become a non-citizen or have no more civil rights? Like,
I don't know that either.
I don't know. I'm not familiar with that. Because I do know that people in jail are still able to uh what do you call it? Appeal, you
Which
know.
means they got rights.
So that means they have some form to rights. I know some are suspended rights to own firearms, depending on your level of felony. and some other things, voting, certain things. And I know they've eased some of that stuff too now with like being nonviolent offenders, and there's some changes that have been made. But um
What the hell could a political right mean that's different from 1B?
but it only seems as though it became a political right after there was a liberation from slavery and others and power of another. But they still have it here as a franchise or a privilege.
Hmm.
you know and a franchise gives you, you know everything that I notice a franchise is doing well,
That's true.
for the most part. I mean, after COVID, we've seen some people cut some things back, but for the most part, large franchises are doing well.
I haven't seen a McDonald's close, a Wendy's, Burger King,
Walmart, Home Depot, Lowe's,
Dunkin' Donut.
Krispy, Krispy Kreme. A dirty DQ, a dirty cream.
Yo, like I was looking at the DQ for a while too, but they haven't closed, right? Like, and
No.
in fact, you see them getting upgrades and whatnot.
Yeah, they keep on churning out that ice cream and those sweet treats. But yeah, y'all. So tonight, y'all, we smoking on the word freedom, and we just looked at the definition. So we're going to go ahead and go to the thesaurus and see how they present freedom to us, as in autonomy and as in latitude. So our first definition of freedom, as in autonomy, is the state of being free from the control of power of another. Autonomy, sovereignty, independency, liberty, liberation, emancipation, self-determination, governance, self-government, sovereignty, manumission, enfranchisement, and release.
I like those words.
Absolutely. This is one of the ones I think that
I love that word. I love that word.
that we've really been like, applying to my meaning of, or my application of freedom.
Yeah,
You know,
definitely application. Definitely application.
it's just been my own level of self-determination, because all of these other things, like, am I independent of oxygen? No. And some people be like, damn, you ain't gotta be that certain. But I mean, like, you need oxygen too, fool.
Yo, God.
So like, like, and I look at some of the choices I made in life, like, am I independent of who pays my pension? No, I'm not. Like,
Hell nah.
you know what I mean? So it's like some of these things, people, I think, are taking too much out of focus or out of perspective of what the real freedom is that we actually have.
Yeah, and I think it's because of the association with slavery,
Yeah.
right? And even with self-determination, like people take that and mean that everything has to be a win that somebody else could look out from the outside and say that person is winning, right? That's what they think. A lot of people think that that's what self-determination equates to, and the real reality is you get to decide and determine what you want and need for yourself, right? So if you really just want to chill, you can absolutely decide that you want to chill and set up your life to chill, and and let that be your determination, right? Like it ain't got to be about what somebody else want. Everybody's win is not everybody else's win, right? Somebody else's win is somebody else's hell. Like, man, I got to do all that, right? Like my journey in life may not have been anybody else's choice, right? It may have been a choice that only I could have made and only that I would have made, right? People give me a lot of, oh, you should do this, you should do that. I'm like, man, you don't know me. Like, you don't even know.
Right.
Like, you don't know how the things move up here. You know what I'm saying? And based on how they move up here is how, I'm determining, where self is going and what self is doing, right? And I have great days, and I have not so great days, and I don't worry about what society is going to think about me. That's not self determination,
That's
right?
not.
I get to determine what my wins are. I get to determine what my losses are and where my lessons need to be, right?
Talk
Like
about it. What you
not
say,
somebody
God?
else.
You get to determine where your lessons need to be at, right?
Yeah, right. Like, cause losses are just, you need to learn something.
You gotta keep learning. You know?
You got to learn something, right? Otherwise, you don't keep losing, right? So if you don't learn, right, you got to. I mean, so
Then you
yeah,
like it. Then you like it. Then you like what you're going through. If you don't
and
learn from it and you keep going through it, then you enjoy that shit
and if
for
that's your
everybody.
self determination, that's cool, right? Like state that so that so that I don't be thinking you trying to make me feel sorry for you, because I promise I won't, right? Because at least once I think I see your pattern, right, or the pattern I think I see, right, I'm gonna determine for myself where you fit around me, right? Because you don't get to determine my safety for me, like, you know.
Yeah. That's unhealthy.
You know what I'm saying?
That's unhealthy.
So yeah, I just we it's if we're not millionaires, God, then folks looking like we not winning. If all you are is a garbage man and just got a city job, people looking down on you like, oh man, you gotta go to a 9 to 5, you gotta go to work, you have to work on your job for 25 years to earn your pension so that you can retire. Boo. You gotta, because in their mind, that's real plantation, that's a real slavery. And I'm like, nah, son. Like, I get it. We joke with the words and we call our places of employment the plantation and stuff like that. But really and truly, we are choosing to go there every single day. We can choose not to, right? We can choose to feed our family a whole nother way if we want, but we don't. So that's not necessarily a real plantation in the real true sense of the word. Even though I like calling it that to keep myself grounded.
You petty as shit. Just wanted to take some time to punch down. Nah, but it's the truth, God. It's the truth, man. Like it does feel that way at times. I can't lie if I can't say that if I can't honestly and openly say in my own self-reflection and my level of having to be self-determined, within a choice of looking at what this freedom can result in for me. You get put in compromising situations, sometimes being in places that you went thinking that are supposed to be beneficial for you. And it will test, if you really want to be there or not, if you can see the long picture, if you can see the long term.
Oh, great way to put that. If you really want to be there or not.
Yeah. So You know, I thank the universe, you know, my God, the God, you know, for when I was confronted in those situations that, you know, I made some beneficial choices. I didn't make choices that would compromise it, you know, because you definitely gonna get tested. And like you said, the working 20 something years, and then the whole idea of the American dream and everything like that. Like what's really missing is because we don't teach budget, you know, like people are not taught how to manage like their own personal finances, like just balancing your checkbook, you know, like they've removed that skill set, you know, from a basic standard education. And because just that tool or resource, a lot of these things seem a lot more difficult because people can do that. Like we already understand that the employee never makes more money than the employer in no situation.
Correct.
Okay. But we look at like we still need people to do things. Like the people, like you said, those people that, you know, work those good sanitation and public city jobs, people that work those for the water systems and the sewage systems and the carpenters and the electricians and the plumbers and the, you know, truck drivers and all these for structural things that we need, these infrastructure things. Those things they took out the school too, because they took out the VOTEC,
Correct.
where we had a direct pipeline. So when you look at the public education system and we say, okay, you know, where was the fuck was the freedom in that shit? Like they just had the freedom to just, you know, take away all the shit that all the old cats, all the old dudes, and most old cats that's at least anybody over 60 got a trade for the most part. You know, anybody over 60 for the most part got a trade. So like that's because all the schools had programs and they had programs and stuff. And then somebody grew up around their granddaddy or somebody or uncles, and all them guys had trades. Like you grew up, you knew how to do something with your hand. Somebody taught you something with your hand. So because that's removed now, and it's been removed for some generations, you know, and we don't have the budgeting things taught, just the basic how to manage your money. No, you can't go spend that money. You don't have it. You know, you think you do, but you don't, because you're just not paying attention to it. You looking at what's in your hand and what you want.
And you got a credit card.
But all them things.
Yeah.
All them things don't equal somebody balancing, making sure that they keep a budget and maintain a surplus for themselves.
Correct.
You know? So like, no matter what that surplus look like in any form, savings, investments, capital, assets, whatever you got, family, you know. But when it's just check to check, or this check don't I gotta spend some of the next check before I even get it. Now you living beyond your means. You know, when we talk about freedom, finishing up in the thesaurus, in relation to what I was just talking about, we're going to refer to that as in latitude, the right to act or move freely. Like your latitude is fucked up. You ain't moving freely. You have budget restraints. You know, trying to get a job. You have an educational restraint because you don't have training. Got to find out what you know, got to get some skill sets to be able to compete. So we have synonyms: latitude, authorization, control, license, authority, power, license, freehand, run, mandate, dominion, space, mastery, room, sway, grip, command, clutch, hold, range, carte blanche, and a blank check, baby.
Hmm.
and a blank check.
Damn, so that's talking about freedom. Like, man, write whatever you want. It don't matter.
Write whatever you want. The latitude, the right to act or move freely. So you really don't have freedom if you're not allowing yourself to keep some blank checks in the stash.
Mm, I'm working on my freedom, God.
You know,
I'm working on my freedom.
for real. Like it don't have to be a whole bunch, but it could be what you have, and it was what's what you're comfortable with. That's what it's about. So
What I was saying about the self determination. That's what you're comfortable with. That's what it's about. Not what everybody else look like and what they got, and if they
right.
smiling bigger than you. Like, what are you comfortable with?
What are you comfortable with? What have you been? And then when we say what you comfortable with, God, it's like what have you done? What is the work that you put in to get it there? What mandate have you made for yourself? Have you made a mandate for yourself? Like most of the time when we hear this word mandate, people don't even really it's I think that's a trigger word too. Now since everybody is like a politician and shit
Mhm,
nowadays,
mhm.
like after the last two elections, like everybody know more about politics than they did 3 years ago and shit. Like everybody is got an opinion about a politician. As you ask somebody, well, how many branches of the government is, and they can't even tell you that shit.
Yeah.
And I hear them using the language on like Fox Network and NBC Network and CNBC and CNN. I hear them using language now that wasn't used by past uh, speakers, um, for like the presidential publicists.
Hmm.
You know, I've heard her use language that wasn't used before in from prior,
Campaigns and whatnot.
not campaigns, from prior staff, because this is like when they actually in and press releases for prior press
Mm,
releases, because
okay.
like she was saying some things. I heard her say something the other day, something like and I was just skimming through it, and it was something like the president is she said the highest executive of the executive branch, so they have the power to do blah blah blah. And it's like, damn, she just explaining to y'all that this shit is a business.
Mm-hmm. You talking about that blind lady?
I don't, yeah, the blonde girl, yeah.
Yeah, I heard it. Yeah, she do talk reckless as hell, and it seemed like she talks so plain that it don't make sense to a lot of people
And I
because
was like, damn, dog. I was like, they saying this shit, like,
they
and
saying
people
it.
so dumb, like they have no clue,
They saying it. You
you
know,
know.
and at the same time, it's like the only thing that you can do is get your business in order,
That's it. That's it, family.
right?
It's the American way,
There,
baby.
there is no fighting back against the corporation. Like, you just got to get your business in order,
That's it.
right? Like, especially when they can make going on strike illegal, right? Like,
Come on. Like the truck drivers cannot unionize. That's law. That's law. So why couldn't they say, okay, well, after what happened, after this contract is up, what happened with the longshoremen, they can't unionize either. Fuck that. We're not gonna risk our shores and shit being shut down because y'all just want a little bit more money. Cause y'all been overworked and shit and underpaid. Like, you know, like fuck y'all. And y'all better be in this mother. You know what I'm saying? So they had to stand on business and be like, hey, and they negotiated, and that's cool. But
you know,
it's
you
only
know,
so long they gonna allow that shit to happen.
and you say that about the launch, and from my understanding, I think those longshoremen get paid well, right? And I'm just thinking about all the people in this country that don't get paid as well, and only get either barely 40 hours or just 40 hours, and not making a great salary, that are living above their means, right? Like, there's a lot of people that don't know how to budget at all.
Exactly.
right? And we would be in a much better mental if our finances were better, right? Everything everything would
Man,
just look different, and you would approach it differently if our finances was just in a better place, right? It wouldn't end war, right? But
no.
but it would take away a lot of the stressors that you have from all this unease from these first 100 days, right? If your finances were in order,
Well,
the
well, no, 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 God.
yeah,
No, it
yeah.
won't take away. No, let me tell you
I,
something.
I,
Because
I say take away, but it's it. So I see. I know cats that benefited, right? That like that whole that whole resign from the federal government email, the delayed resignation and stuff like that, right? Like that thing was that thing is impactful. Like even like the whole firing the probation people and stuff like that. Like a lot of people are impacted, and I know people that took that opportunity and won in a major way.
right, right. See, a lot of that has to do with though, like, but people didn't prepare. So, like, a
They was
lot of people,
prepared.
so a lot of people weren't prepared. And that's the thing. Like, even if I'm making $300,000 a year, but my lifestyle is a 500 is a $800,000 lifestyle.
Too
You know, like
much.
I'm living way beyond my means. I'm making payments on everything.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not investing nothing. Like I may have something a little 401 or something that you may be doing, but it's not really. You're not. You know, like you're one payment away from some shit being gone. You know, so if that's the way a person chooses to budget their personal finances, like that's their business. You know, they shouldn't. There's better ways. It'll be more beneficial if they learn something.
I
You
don't.
know,
I think if it was that was the choice, people wouldn't be as up in arms as they are right now, right? Because again, I don't hear too many billionaires or even millionaires looking like they complain. I see the people taking trips and stuff.
but you're never gonna hear billionaires and millionaires complaining. And the reason why you're never gonna hear billionaires and millionaires complaining is because they don't work for money. They put their money to work for them,
They got their business in
and
order.
they own assets.
They got their, and
They
that's what
they
I'm
have
saying.
more assets that help pay for their liabilities. So that's the difference. Like and that's where I'm talking about
Yeah,
where we talking about there's a difference between the people who getting laid off. See, those billionaires and millionaires are laying off people so they can rebalance their budgets. That's what's going on. So that's a part of the effect, you know, from what's going on in the bigger picture, the global economy, which we are in a financial reset. So this thing is really happening. All right. And when I say the financial reset, it's not like something to be like, oh, the boogeyman type. You just got to understand what's actually happening. It's not really a reset like, oh, everything going to zero, blah, blah, blah. It's just some things going to get repriced and it's going to be some different things. But what's going to happen is things are going to cost more,
100% facts.
you know? So that is the thing where it's understanding how to position yourself for what is actually going to go up in value versus what you got money for now, what you're going to be making money for, and how much more it's going to cost you to get stuff.
Hmm.
Okay. So you got to take some of that money and put it into some value things. That's what billionaires thinking. That's why you shrink your budget. Less people
Which
to
which is,
pay
which is which is
and
my
take more
point.
money to do
Which is my
this.
that's
You
my
know?
point. It's not necessarily about how much money they have as billionaires and millionaires. It's their thought process of how they use their money, right? Like they're
Right.
and that's my point. My point was your point, right? Like if folks had a budget and put their money to good use and live within their means, life wouldn't be as stressful, right? You have one less thing to seriously worry about, right?
Yeah, but you would have to have a budget either way. Because what I'm saying is like is even if I only make, let's say if I make $30,000 a year
Need a budget.
and I got a budget, I don't care what the economy's doing if I got a plan and I'm
That's my
aware of what's going on.
and that's my point.
versus even if I make 300,000, like,
That's my point.
like I could still fuck it up either way,
Correct.
by just not having discipline, education, some financial literacy, and a budget that ties all that in together. So, that's just one of them things where it's like it looks bad, but it's like, okay, where are we at? Where are our goals, and what do we want to do? What are we paying attention to? And because we already know, God, that an employer is always going to make more money than an employee. Another thing, like you said, we gotta, in the same sense of it, we gotta promote as well the idea of ownership versus just employeeship. Even though as much as we want some of those core things that could come back into the educational system that will beneficial, these things like, the truck driving and the vocational schools, the barbering and the electrician and the masonry and the carpentry and the horticulture, all these things that was part of Votech systems, video productions and all these things. If they bring that back, all of those things right there will also facilitate that narrative, because that was an entrepreneurial things. You can go and start your own business.
Facts.
Right
Right away with very little.
With very little. You're not really looking for, you don't need a big investment or a college degree to go get hired and compete. You can actually start and then hit the ground and build it how you want to build it. So we need that. We need that to be facilitated somehow, in order to, I think even with the dude talking about Trump, talking about this restoring manufacturing and all that, I'm like, without training, a training revolution, evolution or something, like how? It ain't enough trained people out here.
So when I hear stuff like restoring manufacturing, all I hear is robots.
It ain't enough trained people out here.
I hear robots. I hear they about to put AI. They about to invest in a whole new manufacturing here with AI. I don't think they're talking about employing people at all when I hear stuff like that. But I don't know. That's just that's how I think about stuff.
So
Because we're not trained.
Because we're not trained, and that's why I'm like, they don't be having the conversations that like that seem like it's gonna be possible with some type of solution to get the ball rolling and make it happen. Like, okay, yeah, we're gonna do that, because all of these things, the tariffs and companies having to come back over here, they would have to build. These are things that would have to be for several years out before, they may start the process now, but we wouldn't see these things take effect for years.
Correct.
To the actual implementation of it, to see the effects of it. So what do you do now? You try to invest in those things, but then you don't even know if the next administration is going to come in and just start pulling plugs the way this one did. So now, like, that's the norm now. So you invest one way, and then now the other party comes in and say, now, hey, we got it. Now we're going to change it, and because we want to do this. So now for these 4 years, the investment swings and the money swings and the flows and everything is this political agenda, and whatever their geopolitical stance is. And like, like it's becoming where it's just like, man, it's no standard anymore. It's only so many guaranteed things. And I feel like, everybody has the freedom to agree or disagree, right? Like the standards of things don't exist anymore in so many different ways across so many different social and economic and cultural, political spaces. Like, it's just everything is just, anything is up for interpretation. Anything's left to, it's no standards, right? Now, when we talk about having some freedom, if we tie it back to what we talking about this evening, the word freedom, I think that that's where it is just like ran loose, because nobody says like, this is the standard and this is what we're going to stick to. We see this done in certain cultural settings, like with certain ethnic groups, but we don't see it like in society.
Man, I hate so 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 here in this country, right? Like so right now as it stands, like the reason why we got away from standards is because of all the other cultures and ethnic groups that we have in this country, right? Like so once you bring in so many other people that have their cultures and they bring their cultures with them to a place that's anything goes, and enough people start following that, it's like their thing becomes the new standard in that area, right? So it's hard to have a standard when it's so many different, again, people come here and they bring their cultures with them and they apply, they do America as a foreigner would, I guess. No disrespect intended. It just
It seemed like they not doing it as a foreigner would do it though, because
I,
they still driving, because they still driving the same cars, they still living in the same communities. Well, not the exact same communities, but if you can afford it, you can.
but even with the driving, at least down here, like I see a lot of crazy driving, right? Like I see things that people do that, again, I don't know, man. Like I done seen so many people make U-turns from left, from right lanes, from middle lanes. I seen people, for whatever reason, they pull far to the left to make a right turn, right? Like I don't know. Like it's a bunch of crazy stuff going on out here, and
You in Miami. You got,
it's like
y'all got like 50 million people down there.
you know what I'm saying? Like it's so many different cultures. Who's right? Like what culture is right? Like what standard is right? Like here it is. If I'm from a, I mean, it's just what they say is hard teaching the old dog new tricks, right? And if that's the truth, and you have a culture, if you come from a place where your culture is ingrained in you, doesn't matter where you go, like you're taking those things and that's your standard, and you're going to be applying or holding people to your standard, right? And the majority rules, right? So if more people agree that that standard works best, it becomes the social norm, it becomes a socially accepted, you
Me.
know yo
Me.
god yo god, woke used to be meant for those that were uh, uh not following the norms, and can recognize that things aren't peachy keen, right? The woke was those that could be looked at as the super bright, or the conscious ones, right? Now woke is considered troublemakers, and people that don't know anything. They just want to go against the civilization type stuff. Like it has a completely different meaning and thought process.
The woke people are against civilization now.
The way that is applied via on the news, like when I'm at work and I see like the newscasters using it, um and when the people at my job use it, like woke is considered like a if somebody asks you if you're woke, and your response is yes, you're almost saying that you're a rebel and you're damn near a light terrorist.
Damn, you get added to the anti-terror.
You know what I'm saying? Like you, that's why I said light
I
terrorist.
ain't woke at
I said,
all.
I
I'm
said the
awake
hell.
like a motherfucker. I'm awake right now.
Man, I stopped being woke a long time ago.
I ain't never been woke, but I don't
You
know.
know
I
what
have been
I
woken up a couple times.
mean?
You know what I'm saying? But
You know what I'm saying?
I
Like,
didn't.
but
I didn't know though, because
yeah.
I didn't identify with the word. Like I didn't know. I had took a real big break from the conscious community for a while, So I kind of had missed that wave of that woke thing. And then when I came back to, check on some things, I started seeing this whole woke thing, and I started hearing about what is the woke, what is the woke, what is the woke. And I started seeing really when I, shout out to the brother who be doing the activism stuff. What's his name? My son.
Yeah, my song. Yeah.
Yeah, my son. He was the one that kind of like when I really like I did, like saw and identified like, oh, woke, okay. That's where I thought that was coming from, as far as like with his movement and everything that he had going on and stuff, doing the BLM and all that stuff. So that's
They
where I thought that came from. And
and that's how everybody else attached it. So Paul, I apologize, God. So your thought process is how everybody is taking it now today, and they're totally missing the quote unquote conscious community origins of the thought process, right? And what it meant. Um,
okay,
they attach it to Black Lives Matter. They attach it to, again, rebel rousers. They attach it to people that just want to make noise, or you just
part
want
of
to pro
you part of Antifa.
you just want to protest. You just want to protest, right? Like, and that's what I'm saying, right? Again, it went from the people that was being mindful to now anybody that can debate is now woke, right? It's just this is what it is. You
Yeah,
you
well,
ain't
no,
you
but
ain't
we
mi-
don't support.
you ain't miss nothing because you still are what you are.
Yeah, like we don't know, we ain't missing that. I ain't figured I did, because I wasn't, even when I saw what my son was doing, I salute any efforts of people trying to do some things to get some change.
Mhm.
Even though I'm just like, bro, they tried that already, it didn't work. You know what I'm saying? But
And here we go again.
but it's like, I guess, man, for whatever you can do. But
I would rather my son make a song personally.
I mean, he good at that too. So,
Like that's his thing. Like he rap.
but
Like
I didn't like, once something has a box that they place it in, like now it's played out to me. Because like now it's like, okay, now it's in this box. Now people want to say, oh, you this, you know. Pardon me.
yeah.
People want to say like, oh, you're this, or you're like this, and then they just associate every single memory or anything they can recall with just that one thing. So it's like, nah, like, no, like I can have a conversation with a woke, a racist,
Oh
a,
well.
a rebel. What else they got? A leftist, a rightist. You know, it don't matter, man. We could talk about something. We got something that we can have a conversation about, even if it is on their level of whatever they got going on, because I still got an opinion about shit. If I don't know something about it, we can't have a conversation about it. Like I can learn something, but that's me understanding, like, sometimes I just need to be listening. Sometimes it ain't about what you're saying. It's about paying attention and absorbing.
That's because you don't feel a need to debate all the time. Everything is not a debate. Some things are just conversation. Some things are lessons to be learned, and there's no talking back. There's just can you repeat that, please? You know what I'm saying? And or making sure that you don't miss nothing in the first place.
It's like, if I'm willing to entertain it and have a conversation, then I'm looking for something that makes sense.
Correct.
Whether you see that or not, you may not be looking for some shit that makes sense. But I'm really not trying to play with you and waste your fucking time. You know what I'm saying? Like, cause I got something that I could else that needs probably a solution to it. because we building shit over here. So we got shit that's always in construction,
Hell yeah.
you know. And tonight, y'all, we've been smoking on the word freedom. Make sure to like and share the video. Also, subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so when we go live, you never miss an episode of Cigar Sundays Live. We're going to go ahead and get to our second question this evening. Does freedom affect a person's ability to make a choice? The God, Ali Dawood L at BK Soul Farm.
Quick and dirty, yes.
Yes.
Right. And I wrote it down earlier. And what I wrote was, when you're under duress, there is no choice. And it was interesting because one of the definitions I want to say was 1C. It made mention of no coercion, right? So there is no duress. There's like you are. That's exactly was my point. Like that whole sentence was my whole point, right? Because those things do determine your answer, right? If somebody got a gun to your head, if somebody got your baby mother, if somebody got your mom, if somebody's holding your job, if somebody's threatening to tell on you, if somebody got anything on you that can harm you in some way, that can make you change how you would normally respond, then that's hurtful, right? So you're not free, right? Like you are under duress, like you are under the control, under the thumb of somebody else. So yeah. And when you are free to make choices, right? That don't mean that the choices will be good ones. Just because you are free to make it, right? You're also free to accept those consequences, right? Which people don't want. People don't want the consequences unless they're positive, right? Unless they're happy, unless they're soft, unless they're lightly spoken, right? Unless it's sweet tasting, right? But anything that come with some pain, or come with some bitterness, or come with some heat, right? People shy away from it, and you got to build up your tolerance, right? Like you got to build up your pain tolerance, you got to build up your heat tolerance, right? You got to build up. You just got to build up and be better. So yeah, God, so you know,
It depends on the heat and the sweet for me.
That's true. My gut can only take so much.
It depends on the heat and the sweet. You know?
You ain't lying.
We want to keep our blood sugar levels right. You know, we talking about health is wealth, right?
You ain't lying.
You know what I'm saying? And we don't want nothing too spicy, man. We want to make sure we, keep things tasteful all the time.
Yeah.
But absolutely, God, I agree with everything that you were saying. When we asked the question, does freedom affect the ability to make a choice? I was looking at the definition, the absence of necessity, coercion, constraint in a choice or action. And for it to be, I didn't make the question, I didn't mean for the question to be, to appear redundant, but I didn't know the correlation of freedom to choice or action. And when we talk about the absence of necessity, coercion, or constraint, I'm thinking of that, the main thing that we have in choices is freedom. Like when we thinking of, am I free or not? Do I have freedom? Am I a slave to anything? What things am I a slave to? You know, like knowing myself, what things am I a slave to? You know, do I like this water, this music? Some it don't have to be. It don't have this food. Can I not get enough of popcorn? I'm a popcorn fanatic. You know, caramel corn, all this stuff, all these, you know, like like it could be something simple as that. It could be something as having a drug habit. You know, it could be anything from, and when we say freedom, like, yeah, we got choices that we make. So our choices are our freedom. That's how I'm looking at it. When I look at the definition of it, it's like our choices are the freedom that we have. Because when you go certain places, it's a etiquette. You have to conduct yourself a certain place. You know, like you're not gonna go to the bar and act the same way you're gonna act at the bar, or talk at the same level as you would going to the church picnic, or going to a recital. You're not gonna go to the game and act the same way. You're not gonna go to work and act the same way you're gonna act at a youth game, your child's game, you know, or their performance or whatever they got going on. So it's always rules. It's always, when I'm in my car, I gotta, even though I know that there's things I'm not in control of, I still have a choice to be wearing my seatbelt, to be paying attention, to not be texting and driving, to make sure that I'm paying attention to the road and paying attention to other people and how they driving and shit like that. You know,
Fuck
so
around
like,
and don't.
you know, so it's like, that's where all my freedoms are. Is it still rules of the road? Yeah, like you gotta use the lane signal to change your fucking lane, and turn and different shit and get in the turning lane. You're not supposed to be turning from the fucking left lane all to make a right turn and shit, all the way from the fucking left lane. You know, like you're not supposed to do that shit, right? Because that's the rules of the road. So whether people follow them or not, what I'm saying is that we, you know, like we don't have freedom. Like people be trying to make this shit like it's just no fucking rules. You know, like and the only thing that can be is compensation. A check can be cut. But other than that, it's still other economic rules will apply, just as increasing the budget. Increasing the budget deficit will do the same thing that PPP checks, that stimulus checks, that a reparation check would do. It all do the same thing. But that's because I understand our economy. I understand what it is. You know, and that's not to say that the check shouldn't be cut. I'm just saying that it'll do the same thing. Prices will go up. Shit will cost more. It's just a cause of that's how it works. So, you know, we are free to make these choices. And I think that our choice is our freedom. Absolutely has an effect on choice, because it is our choice. That's our freedom right there. Your freedom to choose. Can't nobody really take that away from you. You know, until you go to jail and you do something, you make a bad choice, you forfeit your shit.
I don't know, God. You chose to do that action.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That's when you made a bad choice. You forfeit your shit. Now you in somewhere where now somebody else dictating and determining your choices, telling you what to do. That's a consequence of it. You could make a choice where the consequence could be you made a choice, and now you helping your family, and now you winning, and now you earning and learning and turning it into something else and gaining and building, and you know, so like it's just where is the choice at? What's the choice that's being made? You know, and then how much do you value your freedom? your ability to be able to make them choices.
Your ability to move freely, to move without constraint, man. Like, and even like for me, God, like, cause the real reality is even so only when when you're under duress, when there really is no choice
That's
for
it.
right. But every other time, even if you choose not to choose, you made a choice, right? Like you can like if it's white Air Forces or black Air Forces, you can choose to wear hard bottoms,
Yeah.
right? Like there's choices. Like you always have choices, right? And you just got to see them, right? Unless you don't, right? Unless somebody got a real, unless all your choices are gone,
Now
and
be
if that's the case,
confident in failing.
and if
Be,
that's the case, and yeah, be confident in failing,
be confident in failing.
or
Be
ask for
confident
help.
in failing. Well, this is what I'm saying, God. Like, as you get older, as we get older, we'll become better at making choices. You know that you gotta live longer.
That's
You
true.
know, so that's good if we just having this conversation because you just saying Negro to make sure you don't forget to stay sharp. You know what I'm saying? But if it's somebody younger listening or somebody older, they don't quite get it. It's like, okay, well, where do I have to start with that?
Mm,
Because they've been living with choices that they've been making and having never self-reflected at these choices and looked at them and said, like, damn, like, and not realizing that's why they don't feel free because they making bad choices.
that's a great point. That is a great point.
Because I mean, I was there. I had to do the self-reflection and be like, why I feel like I'm making bad choices. Like I had to
Yeah.
look at myself and not like myself, not like how I was looking, and said I gotta make some better choices. Now, going into one of the choices that I would say was one of the best choices in my life, I wasn't scared to fail because I didn't see the future. I didn't have the vision going in.
Mm,
I did not. It was kind of like, I know I need to do something different. So let me just go. Let me just try shit.
see what happened.
Yep. You know, so that's why I'm like, just, you can't fail if you try. There's no failure in trying, and then you don't know what you will, once you get into that space, you don't know what you're going to turn it into. You just have to be able to, hopefully you can see the opportunities. Hopefully you're able to recognize that and not fuck it up,
Yeah.
and then use it to your advantage and build. So, and give to it, you have to cultivate it because you will be cultivated through it. Look at all the things that allows you to do as well. So that's why I'm like, if we taught it like that, we might see better results than it just being taught and just being impregnated in the brain from the whole slavery inception of freedom versus the absence of necessity, coercion, or constraint in a choice or action. And then that way we can actually focus on the things that begin bad habits or begin uh imitations of bad habits or things that we find that's counterproductive, that's not showing improvements, a quality of life. If it is something that wants to be addressed as a community or as an individual, but you gotta start with yourself first. Like, I can't be telling somebody to do some shit I ain't willing to do. Like, we never on that. What you should do is bullshit. Like, we never on that. What would you like to do? I always ask people, what would you like to do? Because you gotta find out what their interest is too. Especially if you plan on working together. So how they gonna beautify and edify as well?
Yeah, God.
So we got to share in some decision making. So that means we got to have the freedom to learn how to be able to make choices together and work together. And that goes into all other relationships and everything else. It just starts spilling over. And we seeing it look the same, just repeating itself. So tonight, y'all, we've been smoking on the word freedom. And we have just got finished answering our second question. Does freedom affect a person's ability to make a choice? And we are going to go ahead and move to our third and final question this evening. Is freedom free?
Is freedom free?
Is freedom free?
No. From just having, from my definition of or understanding of having a free dome, that is not free. that the toll that it takes on a person to constantly be aware of their surroundings and of their environment and of as many things that they can be aware of is very taxing, right? And it wears you down. And if you're not built for it, it can make you a lonely person. It can make you bitter, right? In reference to the liberation from enslavement, our ancestors sacrificed a lot of their lives, a lot of their time and energy, right? A lot of their efforts to ensure that we made it, right? And to ensure that we had a future, and it cost them a whole lot, so much so that in 2025, I'm here today to say that they are still owed repair, right? We as a country cannot be better until our ancestors are repaired, right? Until we are repaired, it's gonna always be fractured, and it's gonna always be an excuse to have somebody high looking down low, right? It's not gonna be no equality, so it's gonna always cost something, right? And they paid a heavy toll, so that was not free. Just to make a choice, right, is not free, because you got to be willing to live with the results of that choice, right? Not knowing. What'd you say, God? Some of the best things you did was when you didn't know the outcome, right? You didn't know what was gonna happen, right? You just did something because you needed to do something different, because this current thing has been proven to be anti it, right? So you needed a new it.
I mean, it wasn't anti-it though, but
It was anti.
it won't anti-it, but it won't it, because you know what I'm
You know,
saying. I believe I could have had some success. You know what I'm saying, but it's like it's not the type of success that I could have stood next to a picture and hugged my mom. You know,
right?
Yeah, like it wouldn't have been that. I might have could have stood next to a picture and hugged a couple. Yeah, you know? You know, but nah, man, we went. We ain't
All
do
right,
no.
so yeah,
Yeah, we
so
better than that, man. We above that.
I just know from my own personal experiences and from the stories that my grandmother, my great grandmother, my great aunties. I've had, like I said, I've had the pleasure to my great grandmother lived to be 99, and I've had plenty of conversations with her. I've had great aunts that lived to be 99 that I had great conversations with. Right, I've had great aunts that lived to be 103 that maintain their senses and their faculties the whole entire time, and to get history from them, right? It takes away from his story, and it's definitely my story at that point, right? It adds a level of depth for me to know for a fact that freedom is not free, and anything worth having is worth bleeding for, at the very least.
Whoo! Anything worth having is worth bleeding for at the very least, says the God, Ali Dawood El at BK Soul Farm. Well, God, our third and final question is freedom free? Man, I'm gonna have to agree and say no. Freedom is not free. But I'm also gonna have to say that I don't think freedom even exists. You know, and I think it's not free because it's the price you pay to have life. And that's why I agree with the God Ali that it is not free because it is the price you pay to have life. Because like we stated earlier, that like that's what makes every living human being the same. Like when you're born, your clock started. So it's a cost to that.
Called life.
Called life. And you're not free from that. You know what I'm saying? It's not, you know, you can do it for free if you like. I don't know how you're gonna be living. I don't know what that experience would be like.
It don't sound good.
Shit costs out here, man. So
Everything.
uh,
Water costs.
for real. But I just don't think it exists, you know. And at least, like we always say, everybody be picking and choosing and stuff. Can I be picking and choosing too? I'm no different from, you know, me or you.
Yeah.
But in my picking and choosing, you know, I say it doesn't exist because we have choices. So that is our freedom. We have the ability to choose, and being a person who values that, who values the choices that I make, the things that I involve myself in. Um, I think that all of us have that as the freedom. That is what should be our freedom, you know, is valuing our choices that we make, because it's rules to everything out here. You know, it's certain choices that get taken away, you know, Roe versus Wade, right? So nothing can be done about that. Nothing is being done about it. You know, I don't know if something should be done about it, looking at how it's one side of the spectrum where they like, we as a nation, you know, we're not reproducing, you know. So being a person who doesn't have any children, that don't make me want to go out here and cheat on my wife and had 10 kids to help the nation. You know what I'm
Come
saying?
on, bro. Do it for the country,
You
man.
know, I mean, they ain't even cut the check yet. You know what I'm saying? So
Let me get the check, yeah.
you know, so it's like, nah, you know, like, and we're not on that.
You know,
But
yeah.
you know, but like having an understanding, like being able to joke about it in that context, a issue that's so serious, is because I understand what's going on beneath the surface. You know, because I cared about it, because I have nieces and little cousins, little female cousins, and sisters, and you know, a mother that had me and my siblings, you know. So I look at those things because I
You
know
mean
that
you're
it's a,
human?
yeah, you know, like, you know, man, was I supposed to say fuck them all, you know? And I have an affinity for vagina, for, you know,
Love it.
my wives, you know, specifically. So, you know, so when I hear things like that, you know, it's like you look at that and you say, damn, is that a freedom being taken away? You know, is that a choice? Well, it is a choice being taken away, but it's not. It may look like that on the surface, but it's not if you put the responsibility back on yourself, where you say, you know what? Well, I have a choice to lay down with this person and do this act, understanding how it is socially, economically, everything that's gonna come with it, you know.
If we make better choices, we don't need to be governed.
Then I mean,
I mean, you still need to be governed, but it's like you get
I mean,
governed less.
I mean, you self-governing, but
So
it's
yeah,
still some rules because it's
you're gonna
consequences.
always gonna have rules. You're never gonna
Yeah,
like. There's no way to get around rules, bro. Like this is
right,
no way around it.
right. You know, like they say the not the welfare, but the child support system. Pardon me. The child support system is a bad system. You know, but it's like, okay, how long we been hearing the child support system been a bad system, and how long brothers and sisters still out here making them same choices. So how long is it that we just keep on blaming the child support system for being a bad system? But it's just like, so you like, nah, I just want to recklessly fucking do what I want to do, and we don't need the child support system. They some
And then
bullshit
blame the system.
because we can't recklessly fuck out here and just be creating lives that we ain't gonna like.
Come on, son.
You know, so it's like, no, I can't really get with that. You know, like I understand when you're talking about there's a lack of freedom, but it's kind of like, shouldn't it be some handlebars on some shit? Because then it'd just be like, it'd be crazy out here.
See, and somebody said that's a lack of freedom. That's a lack of responsibility.
That's a lack of responsibility.
Right. Because again, when these babies are born and you still don't have a job or you still don't have a job good enough to take care of yourself and this child, like you are lacking in your responsibility, right? And you just out here making another baby and another baby and another baby, and these women just letting you. I'm saying that's crazy.
Well, it definitely is crazy, but you know, they have a choice. You know, like they got a choice. It ain't like,
HIV prep.
you know, like they said, like what my man said, it was a clip where they was talking about, oh, I think you had sent that clip, and the clip where the guy was talking about, the comedian, the lady was talking, and she was talking about how the abortions and things that happen within the community, and how that that the woman has the right, you know, to do things with the child, to do things the man don't have, you know, a say so in her having to get an abortion and things like that. But it's also like, what about taking the time to think about, okay, all of those things are in place. You're gonna have to deal with all of that, you know,
Oh,
like we know that still today, okay, yeah, I can meet you, you could like me because we have a physical attraction, which is always the thing.
always.
All right, is a physical attraction first and foremost. So that's obvious. But then we don't get to learn each other. We don't get to know nothing. Now we got a child. I realize I don't like you. You realize you don't like me as a person. It was just a physical attraction. We was able to get together and sleep with each other because we don't think beyond that. We both thinking on a low level. All right. So now who suffers? The child suffers because we don't want to try to work through that and be like, damn, we know we made a mistake. Because don't nobody want to admit they made a mistake.
The child suffers because now there is a child.
because now there is a child. Okay, so now we know that these things can happen, and we see it happening to other people and shit like that. But yet, I still go and do the same shit because I think it won't happen to me. And now I become just one of those fucking stories, one of them stereotypes. So when that shit stops, when that shit ceases, then we'll say we're free. When shit like that stops, when people when for real, like when people see some shit on TV and be like, I don't want, like that shit ain't cool, then we be free. But until they see the shit, oh, I want to be a slider, I want to be a stepper, or I want to be a big drug dealer, or I want to do this, or I want to have all the baby mamas, I want to be a, you know what I'm saying? Like until that shit don't get glorified no more, it ain't gonna be no free because ain't nobody gonna be paying attention to the choices that they making that are other than that, in a different direction from those type of choices that create that constant thing. That constant shit that's just like, damn, can we shake this scourge? Can we not have Meg the Stallion twerking?
Mhm.
Can we not have the Meg twerk? Did we have a choice in that? We had no choice in that.
We did not have a choice in that.
And was that a symbol of freedom?
They told us that it was. That's what yeah, act of protest and all that stuff. Yeah,
I mean, it's okay to express it. I don't have no problem with you. I told you I have an affinity.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I don't have no problem seeing Meg twerking and dancing, you know, doing her thing, performing her art on, you know what I'm saying? But when we talking about political and we talking about real issues and real things, that's what it's supposed to be. I'm not getting twerk. I'm not getting twerk. Like certain things supposed to have certain class to them. So that's not the bougie niggas over there in the political party. Not with the twerkers.
Hmm.
That's the hood. Oh, but we gonna bring this thing together because we need y'all to come out and come on, stop playing.
Stop playing.
Yep. So we've been smoking on the word freedom tonight, y'all. And we've been going through our questions. And we just got through our third question: is freedom free? And myself and the God Ali Dawu El, the BK Soul Farm, exchanged some very insightful insights. I used it twice. Insightful insights.
You really mean it.
We suggest y'all go ahead and check that out in the playback. But don't forget to leave in the comments if you want to answer these questions. What did you think of when you hear the word freedom? Does freedom affect a person's ability to make a choice? And is freedom free? And you can tell us what you think, and we'd like to hear it. Leave it in the comment section, and we will respond to you. So we've reached that point of the show where we want to know, is freedom bad, good, or misunderstood?
For me, God, um, I'm going with misunderstood first. Um, because people don't think about freeing the dome. People only think about not being slaves. People don't think about the power and the choices that they have every single day. Um, they limit their choice and their ability to choose. Um, to super small things, or not even that, to things that are so big that I don't know, man. Like, and then I'm gonna go as bad, right? Because it tricks people into thinking that they can literally just there are no rules, right? I think there's an overwhelming understanding that freedom means two things: not being a slave and no rules. And I think that's a I think that's a bad thought process. I think that's
Say that one more time. What
yeah.
they think it mean? They think freedom mean what?
Two things: not being a slave and no
And
rules,
no rules, right?
right? And not being a slave is definitely a positive, right? Um, but no rules though, like
And I'm still saying we're a slave to something.
yeah, right. Like
Belong to something.
I get the whole not being a slave thing because they think about chattel slavery. They not
Yeah,
they they're not thinking about anything deeper than that, right? They're just thinking about chattel slavery and that nobody wants to be that,
yeah.
right?
Like I'm a slave to my health, you know?
And that's what I'm saying. Nobody's thinking about that.
Yeah, like I'm a slave
They're
to
only
my
thinking
health.
about
You know?
right,
I'm a slave to my wealth, like for real. Like,
right. So yeah, so I'm going with misunderstood first, because people are lazy and we're miseducated, we're undereducated, um, we're overly stimulated and under influenced, right? There's a lot of influences out there, but they're not influencing us to do anything, right? So there's I said a lot of stimulation, right? But nobody's actually doing anything in a major way, right? The new thing is to become an influencer to sell a thing. Nobody's actually doing a thing, right? Like it's the new thing is now gym owners, this is how you make your gym better. Like now everybody want to sell packages to for marketing and stuff, and it's I don't know. I don't like lazy stuff, right? Like I get getting in where you fit in, but I don't know, man. Like so, yeah. It's I'm going with misunderstood, and I'm going with bad, just because we just gotta, because you gotta have rules. Like there are too many people that think too differently for everybody to just walk around just doing whatever they want to do to each other, right? Because it wouldn't even be whatever they want to do the way that I'm saying doing what I want to do in reference to the first question, right? But again, my wants and my needs are kind of the same, right? You got folks that just want to do what they want to do to other people,
yeah,
and they include that in, if I can't do what I want to do to other people, then I don't have freedom, and I don't like that, right? So because of that thought process, I'm saying it's bad. So misunderstood and bad.
I got you, God. I'm not gonna even touch on them misunderstood or bad, but I am going to, because they don't need no debate or anything. Um, I do like when you said that people don't people believe that freedom is either free or no rules. And man, like that's just so accurate with the mindset and meaning of freedom. The throughout American culture, like that's just seems like that is the mindset. Either it's free and there's no rules. And I think it would be a good word if if it was defined, if it was taught correctly. you know, and I would have to say post-slavery, you know, because the problem with the misunderstood is that it's still being taught and led with the post-slavery narrative. So it just makes it so difficult for people to even conceptualize it in any other type of way. But hopefully tonight we had something that we were smoking on that y'all thought,
Word.
you know, you could take a few puffs of. If not, you know what to do. Leave it in the ashtray and have a peaceful, positive, and productive start to your week. So we want to thank everybody for tuning in. We had another great conversation. And yeah, freedom. Freedom. Let freedom ring. Let freedom ring. Thank God Almighty. Let freedom ring. You know? Amen.
Man.
You live and you learn. You know, you learn and you live. Make sure y'all support your interests. And check out the links in the description. We want to thank everybody for joining us this evening. Make sure to like and share the video. And also subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell so when we go live, you never miss an episode of Cigar Sundays Live. We will see y'all next Sunday right here at 8 p.m. East Coast time at Cigar Sundays right here on YouTube. I am Chef Earl Pearl at DBCHEFTV, always with the God Ali Dawood L at BK So Farm.
Always love, always love.
And we are the Cigarden Panel. And we're going to see y'all next time. Peace, God.
Peace, God. This whole publication is all about going from nowhere to somewhere, right? Being able to stand on something so that you can travel in peace, right? So bksoulfarm.com, 1016, 160 self-sustainability. Jump on a list and get yourself together, right? Because it is irresponsible to not even know what responsibility means. So get yourself together, food, clothing, and shelter, protection of that, support your interests, and live.
Exchange insights Sundays at 8 p.m. East Coast time with the Cigarden Panel. Smoking on words like two big nerds. Hosted by DBCHEFTV and BK Soul Farm at Cigar Sundays on YouTube. Subscribe and hit the notification bell so when they go live, you never miss an episode of Cigar Sundays Live. Sign up for the newsletter and shop merch and clothing at www.dbcheftv.com.